with another poem of CBSE class 10th taken from the First Flight book. The title of the poem is How to Tell Wild Animals. The title itself is simple, long and clear. It arouses the curiosity of the readers regarding what they are going to read about the wild animals in this poem. Before I begin, let me tell you something about Caroline Wells, who was born on June 18th in the year 1862 in US. She was a prolific American writer. Her first book was published in the year 1986. So now, let me explain the poem to you. The poem is divided into 6 stanzas comprising of 6 lines each. The first stanza goes like this. If ever you should go by chance to jungles in the east, and if there should to you advance a large and tawny beast, if he roars at you as you are dying, you'll know it's the Asian lion. In this stanza, the poet presents a true picture of an Asian lion and shows how it can be identified by the readers. The poet states that one can come across a huge, dull, yellowish brown colored beast in the forest of eastern countries. So if you happen to go to eastern countries, you might get an opportunity to meet an Asian lion. If this wild animal roars loudly and violently frightens a person to death, then that wild animal is certainly an Asian lion. Thus, an Asian lion can be recognized by its enormous body with dull brown skin and by its terrifying roar. Before moving on to the next stanza, I'll tell you about the literary devices used by the poet in the stanza. Beginning with the rhyme scheme. As I told you, the poem is divided into 6 stanzas of 6 lines each. All these stanzas follow the same rhyme scheme, and that is A, B, A, B, C, C. Here, the poet has also used poetic license. Poetic license is a device where the poet can change the spellings or violate grammatical rules with the purpose of rhyme scheme, or in order to make it rhythmic or lay emphasis on what he wants to state. So here you see the word dying has been changed to dine so that it rhymes with the word lion, both phonetically and visually. Now let's move on to stanza 2. It says, or if sometime when roaming around, a noble wild beast greets you with black stripes on a yellow ground, just notice if he eats you. This simple rule may help you learn the Bengal tiger to discern. In this stanza, the poet Caroline Wells reveals how one can identify a Bengal tiger because of its peculiar physical features and its behavior. The poet describes it as a noble, majestic animal. It has its distinctive yellow skin with white stripes on it. Moreover, a person can know that it is a Bengal tiger if it tries to eat up the person. So the literary device used in this stanza is alliteration. You see the words roaming round. The sound of R is being repeated here. Then the rhyme scheme, I already told you, is the same. A, B, A, B, C, C. We also have humor here. Humor is a literary device in which the poet tries to make the writing witty by adding a dose of laughter. Although the complete poem is full of humorous images, in this stanza, if you happen to read this line, just notice if he eats you. Here, the poet gives a comical situation with a person being eaten up by a tiger, and still he is trying to recognize which animal it is. The poet has also used irony in this stanza. Irony basically refers to the difference between the surface meaning of what is said to the underlying meaning. So, when the poet says, "A noble beast greets you," the poet is talking about Bengal tiger, who has been called as noble ironically, because it is basically a ferocious beast that can kill anyone. Here comes the third stanza. If strolling forth a beast you view, whose hide with spots is peppered, as soon as he has leapt on you, you'll know it is the leopard. 'Twill do no good to roar with pain, he'll only leap and leap again. So after the Asian lion and Bengal tiger, this stanza throws light on the appearance and habits of a leopard. The poet comes out with an accurate description of the distinctive body of a leopard, which has dark brown spots on its light colored body. The spots on the body make a peppered pattern. The leopard can be easily identified because of the spotted skin and because of its habit of leaping on the person it encounters. The poet takes liberty with language and alters the spellings of leapt and leap. The usage of leapt and leap makes the sound correspond with the pronunciation of leopard. So we see the poet has used a poetic license here by changing the spelling of leapt and leap into leapt and lep. If the beast leaps on a person again and again, he can be certain that the animal is a leopard. If a person, on being assaulted by the leopard, roars in pain, it is a futile effort, because the leopard will not spare the victim and continue to attack him or her. So talking about the literary devices that the poet has used here, I have already explained the poetic license used by the poet. The poet has also used repetition in the line that says, "He'll only leap and leap again," in order to lay emphasis on how a leopard leaps upon its prey. The rhyme scheme, as I've already told you, is AB, AB, CC. Moving on to the fourth stanza that says, "If when you're walking round your yard, you meet a creature there who hugs you very, very hard, be sure it's a bear. If you have any doubts, I guess, he'll give you just one more caress." This stanza describes the behavior of a bear. The poet makes no statement about the appearance of a bear, but lays emphasis on its behavior. A person may come across a bear while strolling in the courtyard. He or she can know at once that it's a bear if it gives him or her a tight, strong and friendly hug. It will fondle and embrace a person till the person is assured of its identity as a bear because of its famous bear hug. The poet humorously uses the word caress for the slap or swat of the bear to use the symbol of love to go with the hug. Both the hug and the caress of the bear are dangerous for the victim. In this stanza, the poet has used repetition in the line that says, "Who hugs you very, very hard?" It emphasizes the tightness of the hug of a bear, which may prove to be fatal. The poet has also used alliteration in the lines that say, "If when you're walking round your yard, you meet a creature there." So you see here the letter Y has been repeated again and again. The poet has also used humor here. The poet uses caress for the fierce slap or swat of a bear on its victim. In literal meaning, a caress is soft and gentle, whereas a bear's stroke is violent and fatal. It can also be stated as an example of irony. Now the fifth stanza that goes like this. "Though to distinguish beasts of prey a novice might nonplus, the crocodile you always may tell from the hyena thus. Hyenas come with merry smiles, but if they weep, they are crocodiles." In this stanza, the poet presents a contrast between the behavior of a hyena and that of a crocodile. Even a novice who's a beginner and has no knowledge about beasts can identify them from their distinct habits. A hyena, while gobbling its prey, seems to be smiling. On the contrary, a crocodile sheds tears profusely. The smiling and the weeping face will make it certain that the animals are a hyena and a crocodile respectively. The poet continues the humorous tone as the hyenas never smile happily, nor are the tears of crocodiles genuine. So let's see the usage of literary devices here. The poet has used poetic license in this line. A novice might nonplus. The poet takes liberty with grammar by using nonplus instead of nonplussed in order to make it rhyme with thus. Here comes the last stanza. The true chameleon is small, a lizard sort of thing. He hasn't any ears at all and not a single wing. If there is nothing on the tree, 'tis the chameleon you see. In these lines, there is a description of a chameleon, a small creature who closely resembles a lizard. Its body has no ears projecting out of it and no wings. The creature has the ability to change its color to match with the color of its surrounding. It can so well camouflage itself that though it is seated on a tree, a person cannot easily trace it. The poet humorously states a paradox that if there is nothing on a tree, there is a chameleon sitting on it. The humor lies in the idea that there is something where there is nothing. So the literary devices used here are rhyme scheme, as I told you earlier, that's AB, AB, CC. Now read this line. If there is nothing on the tree, 'tis the chameleon you see. The poet has used humor here. The humor lies here that there is nothing to be seen on the tree, but there is a chameleon sitting there. That's all for today. Hope you were able to understand the poem along with the literary devices used in the poem. We'll catch up soon with another video. Till then, stay happy, stay safe.